everyone, and welcome back to All About Sports. Today, we're going to discuss the Pittsburgh Steelers, in which the last 3 games, they are on a 3-game losing streak after starting the season 11-0, losing to the Washington football team, the Buffalo Bills, and the latest, the lowly Cincinnati Bengals. I'm your host, Luca Vitale, and joining me today is Runge and Connor Larkin. How y'all doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing all right.
Doing good.
All right. Let's get started here. Adam, I'll start with you. Can the Steelers fix their problems before the playoffs begin?
You know, they've got holes, but I mean, there is a reason that they won 10 games. I don't think they're as strong as the 10-0 they started off with, but obviously they're not one of the weaker teams in the league. They're going to figure this out. They've got good young talent surrounding them, and they've got a good defense. Even though they've had some problems in the last few games, they're going to figure it out.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. I mean, they're not the worst team in the league, but they've lost to some of them. But they're not the worst. They can definitely turn around, but they just need to figure it out. I think they can.
You're both wrong, and here's why. First of all, with the lack of physicality that this team has right now, let's just take into consideration here that the offensive line ranks in the bottom 5 in pass win rate, blocking in rush win rate. Let's just think about this here. You're asking a 38-year-old quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, who just came off of elbow surgery last offseason, to throw it 44 times and not make mistakes. This team's not scaring defenses. They're not running the football. They don't have a running game. And with Big Ben getting this old, what are you supposed to do? The Pittsburgh Steelers are a team in terms of a philosophy that are physical in running the football, and that's gone. And I'm not sure what happened to this team, but this team right now, if they were in the playoffs today, they would not win a single game. That's how bad this team is. You lose to the Cincinnati Bengals, and who are starting a 3rd-string quarterback in Ryan Finley, who I had no clue even was yesterday until I looked him up. That was his 4th career start and his 1st career win. So just take that into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, they do need to get better play out of the run game, but that's not really what they're built on this year. They are definitely a defense first team. They just have to be good enough to survive the other team's defense on offense. They are built around the defensive part of the ball. You should understand that, being a Chicago Bears fan right there. It's not the flashiest way to win games, but it's how they got to 10-3. Sometimes you got to win dirty, and I think this is one of those teams that is going to have to win dirty, and they've shown they can do that through the first part of the year.
All right, well, let me ask you a question here. Do you know any Pittsburgh Steelers fans by any stretch of the imagination?
I don't know one personally, no.
Okay. Pittsburgh Steelers fans, you know what they expect when they make the playoffs? They want the Super Bowl. They're not talking about playoff wins. They're talking about the Super Bowl. And that's what their mentality is. The problem with this team is you do not have a running game. It doesn't matter if James Conner was playing. Yeah, you got Benny Snell. He can't really do much either. The thing is, that offensive line is old. It's lost a ton of depth. It looks old too because it cannot block. So when you're asking Big Ben to throw that football 55 times or something like that and not make a mistake, that's not going to happen. Yeah, he's had an okay season, but this is a 38-year-old quarterback. Think about it as Drew Brees and Tom Brady. They need help too. They both have a running game. So does Big Ben. And if Big Ben does not have a running game, you're going to lose because you cannot count on him any longer to be that elite quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. I don't really think there's any chance that they're really making it much farther into the playoffs than the first round or two. But I really do think that they could surprise us and win a game, because they're one of those teams that I think the defense really gives the rest of the team life. And I know for sure that they're not one of the top 2, 3, 4 offenses in the league, but they don't really have to be with the defense they have.
Well, let's just look at last night, okay? Let's look at last night as an example here. The Cincinnati Bengals rank in the bottom of the barrel in terms of defense. They're like 23rd against the pass, like 25th against the run. And offensively, they're even worse. So you look at that, that you have a second string running back that they have. They're weaker on the defensive side because they got second string linebackers in there. Yeah, the Steelers have their defensive deficiencies right now. They're decimated because of injuries. Bud Dupree, Devin Bush, we get that. But the thing is, when you look at this Pittsburgh Steelers team, they're losing players by the game. And the last time I checked, two things will win you Super Bowls: a defense and a running game. The Pittsburgh Steelers are missing a running game, and they don't have a passing game, and that will compromise them winning playoff games.
For sure. I don't think there's much of a chance that they make it to the big game, but
No.
there's always a chance.
Yeah, no.
So Connor, let me ask you this question. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers will even win a playoff game?
I mean, it really depends on how it. I mean, they're a higher seed, so they should get placed against a lower one. So I think they can win the first one, but I don't know about the second.
Okay, so we're looking right now. We're seeing a Cleveland, we're seeing a Buffalo, we're seeing an Indianapolis, we're seeing a Tennessee, a Miami, even a Baltimore. Do you think they can even beat one of those teams?
They could probably beat Cleveland or you said Miami?
Yes.
Yeah. Cleveland or Miami is their best bet, I'd say.
Well, let me tell you this. We will get a taste of that because Cleveland happens to play the Steelers their last regular season game. So we'll see what happens there. But as you guys see, they're still leading the division in first place, 11-3. In their last two games are the Indianapolis Colts and the Cleveland Browns. And the Browns have a weaker schedule finishing this season, and that will be the Jets and the Steelers themselves. So, Adam, do you think the Browns can actually steal the division lead from the Steelers?
Going back to what you said earlier, you need a run game to win championships. And oh boy, does this team have a run game. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, that duo is one of the best running back tandems in the league. I have been really high on them the last few weeks because I have Nick Chubb on my fantasy team, and he has done great things for me. And I know that you're not super high on Baker Mayfield, but even you have been giving him credit recently. So I think that they have the offense to get past, honestly.
Well, listen, lately, I've had to change my stance on Baker Mayfield because lately I cannot deny what I've seen from him lately. I mean, yeah, they played the Giants on Sunday Night Football. But let's remember something here. The Giants don't have a defense that is something that you can just dismiss. They got a pretty good defense. In Baker Mayfield, I think he only incompleted 3 passes. So you look at that, and you look how he's able to distribute the ball. He's able to even be a receiver, and Jarvis Landry gets a pass here and there. And you just look how confident he looks in the pocket. He does the what do you call those? The routes that you basically, the wheel routes, those types of routes. And then you see that, and he's able to have accuracy in that ball. He's seeing the field more. He's seeing it better now than he did earlier in the season. I think what that has done is given the Browns even more leverage in the playoffs, because earlier on we were just talking about how they're just a run game. But now I think their offense is something that you need to be scared of. Their defense is still in question, though. I'll say that.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, Baker Mayfield threw for like 300 yards against the Giants just this last week. And it's amazing how a team can get better without Odell Beckham Jr., but they've somehow managed to do it, and they've spread the love around a little bit more than they would have. And so, like you said, Jarvis Landry, Higgins, they're all getting touches now, and it's looking good for them on offense.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me ask you this, Connor, because according to Adam Schefter on ESPN, Ben Roethlisberger does want to return to the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2021, and that will account for the Steelers about $41 million towards their cap. And I believe that's like 21% of their cap. Do you think the Steelers should bring him back?
I mean, he's Big Ben. He's a franchise player for them. I don't really think they can cut him. They can let him loose or trade him or whatever. But he should retire by now. I don't think the Steelers will get rid of him. I think it's going to be his choice. But obviously, since he wants to keep playing, I think he has. At best, he has a year left. He's doing okay this year. It's definitely one of his worst years in recent history, but he can hang in there for another year, and he needs to be gone after that.
Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that they should just cut ties with him now, start developing a new quarterback, maybe if you want to give him another year, but it's just he's bad right now and he's putting them in a tough situation. I do not envy the Steelers here. I'm going through the same thing with the Cardinals with Yadier Molina. He's getting older. He's not the same guy he used to be. He used to be a perennial Pro Bowl / All-Star, but right now he's not exactly the same as he once was. And do you pay him the big bucks when he doesn't deserve it? Or do you try to move on and make your team better? So I do not envy the Steelers here.
Yeah, I honestly think that the Steelers should honestly let him go here because we're talking about we're not only talking about him accounting for so much towards your salary cap and obviously with the pandemic cutting the cap even more, but we're talking about players that you need to pay that are going to need extensions like TJ Watt and Hayden. Those guys on the defensive side of the ball, even Minkah Fitzpatrick, you can put in there. Those are guys that you want to pay and keep in your secondary and your front four. So when we talk about that, and then we talk about a type of quarterback that is old and he's ready to retire. We already know what he's done in his career. He's nothing but spectacular. He's elite, but that's just not him anymore. And he's 38 years old. I mean, I'm not expecting him to be the next coming of Aaron Rodgers here. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is something special. He's in a league by himself along with Patrick Mahomes right now. But Big Ben is just not that quarterback anymore. And at the end of the day, after the season, they should just not bring him back because paying him like that next season, or if you want to bring him at a discount, you can do that too. But it should not be worth 21% of the cap. I'll tell you that. But let me ask you this, Connor, I got to ask you this. Today on ESPN, there was an article about JuJu's dance moves before the game. His dance moves that he would post on TikTok and do them on opposing teams' logos. Do you think that has anything to do with the Steelers' recent losing?
I mean, you're basically just asking me about if I believe in karma. But, I mean, it is disrespectful. You really shouldn't do that. But he said they told him not to do it, but he still did it. But, I mean, he got hit. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that video of him getting hit on right around the logo. Yeah, that went viral. But yeah, he definitely shouldn't have done that. That makes you a target for the rest of the game.
Yeah, let's just say we all appreciate Smith-Schuster's TikTok videos. I mean, none of us can deny that. But the fact that you are doing that on opposing teams' logos, it's only motivating them more to beat you. And look at the Cincinnati Bengals did last night. I don't think JuJu even had a positive receiving yardage last night. I mean, we saw what happened when Big Ben threw him on the flat. That Von Bell guy, whatever his name was, he just annihilated him, and that was a fumble. So we look at that, it almost shows that just stop doing it because the other team is getting more mad than they even want to come in the game with probably.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things that it makes your team even better when you're doing well, and it makes your team worse when you're not doing well already. And it's kind of the same thing as Baker Mayfield planting the flag at half field there back in college. You know, I like that kind of flash sometimes, but only if you can back it up. If you can't back it up, it's just a bad look.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see if the Pittsburgh Steelers can end their losing drought next weekend when they host Indianapolis. So we'll see the 10-4 Colts. In that note, we'll end this episode. Obviously, you two, thanks for joining me for this one. And everyone, thanks for watching this, and tune around more for All About Sports.